Greetings, everyone. My name is John Gilchrist. I'm a sophomore at Tuskegee University, majoring in political science, and today I will be discussing the Louisiana Slave Database. Composed of 170,000 database files, the Louisiana Slave Database has to be one of the most largest slave databases around the world. It was composed by a historian and author by the name of Gwendolyn Mildo Hall. She composed this very important database that many researchers, teachers, students, professors, colleges, universities use as a helpful tool to learn more about slavery and to learn more about how it went down in the South. Slavery was a time that our nation looked beyond what was civilized and just traded those values for those of selfishness and hatred. Many slaves had diaries, they had stories, they had uh, many different records that they kept of how they were treated while they were enslaved. Well, the Louisiana Slave Database is basically almost a record or a diary of those slaves. Well, 170,000 of them entries, not of slaves, but 170,000 entries of those slaves. Basically, many slaves were mentioned in wills. They were given marriage certificates. They were given debt relief. That was one of the shocking things that the Louisiana Slave Database came up with. Now, the overall method for how I did this was basically, and how I studied the Louisiana Slave Database was I interpreted what was being put before. I interpreted the information, I comprehended it. You have to be able to comprehend and interpret this information because this isn't information that comes with a lot of pictures in a book or just, this is hardcore information that you have to know what you're doing, you have to know what you're reading. So that's mainly what I did as far as the method goes. Now, the abstract it was just basically what was the overall objective of this? And it was simple. Okay, the overall objective was to find information relating to the Louisiana Slave Database as it pertains to researching slaves. That's a simple objective. And our results were a your results are going to vary, just like how my results vary. However, you interpret the slave database, that is how your results are going to come out. The results that I got were I had two findings. The two findings in this report was that slaves were treated as property, and also the second finding was the most slaves came from West Africa. So many people would say those are two very common findings. That's stuff you should already know. Well, the slave database backs these two findings up with so much information to where that's almost how the database revolves around. It talks about origin, it talks about race, it talks about ethnicity, it talks about where slaves came from. It even goes down to their characteristics. So, and how many slaves ran away, and that is also what is in the results. Slaves ran away because they were unhappy, and that is one of the things that came from the results. Now, in the conclusion, the Louisiana Slave Database is a database that has a very impactful way on how people view slavery. When you're talking about slavery, slavery is one of those subjects that's very sensitive, and I feel like the Louisiana Slave Database did a great job of taking such a sensitive subject and critical information and putting it all together so that it can come together and produce this magnitude. Now, many people are saying, well, I can't see this. Don't worry about it because at the end, I'm going to give you a view of the chart. And I'm also, I have a reference if you want to go and check the whole database out for yourself. And I'm going to show you my two slave charts. I'm nearing the end of my presentation. I'm at the end of my presentation. And I'm going to do a quick wrap up. Again, the introduction, the abstract, the method, the results, and the conclusion. That's simple. And that was what I took from the Louisiana Slave Database. The conclusion is a very powerful database that has information that can be used for research studies. And that is in the results that we got from them. The two findings goes back to the two findings that most slaves came from West Africa, and that slaves were treated as property because their information was kept with things that were referred to as property, such as animals and things of that nature. And the reason why those two results are there, again, is because the Louisiana Slave Database gives much information. Majority of the database gives information that supports these two results. I am John Gilchrist. Thank you for watching. Thank you. If you want to, you can press that like button on the bottom of the screen, on the bottom of the video. And I'm going to take the phone so you can see. And this is the end of the presentation. Thank you.